Moving on to the moment everyone's been waiting for. Update on Vermillion. So before Mr. Adam gives an update on the work he's been invited to help the district with, I want to share some important information that has generated community interest. First, for a brief background on why as a school director I am qualified and have the responsibility to speak on this, Policy 105 explicitly assigns the responsibility of curriculum development to the board. The curriculum must align with academic standards, accommodate students' needs, and include remediation plans for students not meeting proficiency. In the past, it has been common practice for the curriculum chair to meet with both the elementary and secondary assistant superintendents to discuss curriculum agenda items. When I became curriculum chair, I began doing just that. Can you hear me okay in the back too? I'll put it forward since earlier. In the past, it is Jordan Adams. After discussions with Dr. Barczyk and Dr. Scheid about having support from the board and using the Hillsdale 1776 curriculum, I reached out to Hillsdale College for more information about the curriculum, the resources that would be required of us, and schools already using it. Jordan Adams, the former interim director of curriculum at Hillsdale, responded to my inquiry after discussing our interest in integrating the 1776 curriculum. I connected Dr. Barczyk, Dr. Scheid, and Ms. Satali, our social studies K-12 curriculum supervisor, with him. Concerns were voiced during subsequent meetings with Dr. Barczyk and Dr. Scheid regarding the availability of teachers and the time required for curriculum work. When I reached back out to Jordan Adams again for support in implementing the 1776 curriculum in consideration of the concerns from our administration, I learned that he had left Hillsdale College and became an independent education consultant. The board has received some feedback surrounding Vermillion regarding newly formed companies having a hand in our curriculum as well as having a blank check. I would like to address them quickly. It is common for people to leave their jobs and establish their own businesses. Our own Sherry Durr, who formed CKC Consulting after she retired from Penridge, was hired last year to consult with Ms. Summers, our Director of Pupil Services. Likewise, Jordan Adams recently left his previous employer to start Vermillion Consulting. While the business of Vermillion Consulting itself is fairly new, Jordan Adams' experience is seasoned. Experience does not cease to follow you in future endeavors. Additionally, and comparably, CKC Consulting's contract and Vermillion's contract were posted only days prior to a school board meeting. We've hired other curriculum consultants as well. There was no public comment outcry when a new company, Intercultural Works, owned by Laura Lomax, was hired to incorporate the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion into the entire Penridge Schools organization, including curriculum, social activities, holidays and observances, and events. Also, Dr. Heidi Hayes-Jacobs, a curriculum designer, and Dr. Ben Akalik, an author, were retained to redesign the K-12 curriculum and infuse DEI practices naturally into the curriculum. These consultants were hired, engaged, and paid significant sums of money. A key distinction in these former instances is there were never discussions like this for the public's consumption. Moreover, there were no progress updates to the board or public as they progressed their work, providing training to secondary teachers, instructional coaches, supervisors, and principals. Because of how and why this particular consulting group was retained by the administration, the public was never given the courtesy of even being aware that a newly formed company and out-of-state consultants were essentially given free reign of our school's curriculum. With that said, I am not against consultants or even people from other states. And honestly, I don't think anyone else is genuinely concerned about that. These are straw man arguments. But here we are, as a board, continuously fielding attacks and accusations that may seem superficially plausible to some, but in fact, they are wrong. These inconsistencies, consultants are good, consultants are bad, and we need local expertise. No, we need internationally acclaimed experts, are more than just incompatible. They are amazingly hypocritical. For the next few minutes, while our invited guest speaks to us, I would sincerely ask that everyone listens and suspends whatever preconceived notions or biases you may hold. Hear his words. Whether you already have a favorable or unfavorable opinion, please direct your full attention to what Mr. Adams is saying. To anyone who cares to take an honest look, it is obvious Mr. Adams is an expert. He has extensive first-hand experience in teaching, coaching teachers, and curriculum development. So at this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Jordan Adams, the founder of Vermillion Education, with over a decade of experience Mr. Adams holds a master's degree in humanities and a bachelor's degree in political science with teaching certifications across multiple subjects. He has worked as a teacher, instructional coach, and overseer of curriculum review and development at Hillsdale College. Now, as a curriculum consultant, he advises school boards, teachers, and professional staff to help strengthen the education they deliver to their students. Recently, Vermillion Education was hired by the South Dakota Department of Education to train teachers on social studies standards implementation. Welcome, Jordan, and thank you.
Mrs. Blomgren, just really quickly, I just want to address a comment that was made in public comment that claimed that we need his written authority to terminate the contract, which is not true. We just need to put it in writing if we are terminating the contract. So I just wanted to make that clear since that was such a blatantly false statement.
I would like to add something too with what Jordan said. All those other consultants were vetted and were brought to the board from the school, from the administration, from the experts. Now we're taking on a consultant for the first time that I'm aware of that was brought to by the board, was not vetted, was not discussed in public. So those comparisons are blatantly false, and we have not had a chance to vet this guy, and now we're all of a sudden having to listen.
And for, in terms of Sherry Durr's contract, it's good that that was brought up because that's a very good example of something that was well defined. It was for no more than 9 hours of time, I believe. It was up to 9 hours. It is correct. And it was for very specific assignments. We discussed what those, what the role was. The role was to help the new director of pupil services transition into the job. There was no agreement to allow there to be any consultation for curriculum, any programming in the school district. It was very well defined. And also with Heidi Hayes-Jacobs and Benna Kalik, I apologize if I'm messing up the names, but we had many public discussions about what those two ladies would do. Those ladies even had, as I recall, a forum here at Penridge in our auditorium. They came in and talked to us. I think it was about the sleep study. And as far as the community not asking questions then, but asking questions now, and you're referring to some times where, like the Laura Lomax, where we weren't aware of it. If you're suggesting that we should make the same mistake twice, I'm not sure what argument you're making there, but
no, I'm discussing the outcry over it. It's very specific and very biased.
That's exactly
it's
right.
Very biased.
It's not biased.
Sherry
Excuse me,
contract.
did I interrupt you when you were speaking? Let me finish what I have to say. When the public found out about Laura Lomax's contract, when we found out about these things, when we found out about the biases being introduced in our curriculum, we did something about it. We voted to end the DEI, get rid of the bias. We didn't renew Laura Lomax's contract.
We didn't vote on that, Joan.
Excuse me, we did vote on ending the DEI. Yes, we did.
We did not
voted
vote
on ending DEI in
no,
the school district.
we did not vote on that.
I voted by myself? Okay, in August of 2021, we did have a vote on whether to continue with DEI. So, and in terms of the contract, Section 8 says, this agreement, and I didn't know until it was brought to my attention tonight in the public comment, it says, this agreement shall inure the benefit of and shall be binding upon client, Penridge, and consultant, their heirs, successors, and assigned. So apparently our heirs will be responsible for this contract. This agreement shall not be assignable by consultant and may only be assigned by client upon the prior written consent of the consultant. So what does that mean? Does that mean that he has to give his consent for us to no longer be bound to this contract? I think it's a valid question, and maybe our attorney should be here to answer it.
Yes.
He's not here.
He needs Mr. Adams.
Oh. Well.
That's what he needs.
Okay, with that, I mean, I could go on. I would love to go on and go piece by piece of the contracts and talk about the sleep study that you're trying to say that the other consultants came and spoke on, but nothing on curriculum over 4 years that we spent over $100,000 on.
Hey, this is
They
costing
came
us
and
money.
had
It's on
many,
hold.
we had
145
many
an hour.
discussions about the habits of mind and everything
No,
else. To say we
no,
didn't
no
is a
presentation.
flat out lie.
No.
We did.
No presentation, it's not on board docs, should be public.
Can we move on?
It is
Okay.
public.
Ms.